Hi, everybody. I'm Nick Fong from TBN Asia. And today I really have an opportunity that I'm really looking forward to because I have a conversation with Clara Wan, a co-founder of Graze Market in Malaysia. Hello, Clara. How
Hi,
are
Nick.
you? Yeah.
I'm good,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Why? Because for those watching, Clara and I worked together in the same organization previously and then work together again as partnering organizations when she started her social enterprise. So it's really, really cool for me to, and for everybody to hear a little bit about what she's been doing. So what I like to do is I'll just hand the time over to you, Clara, and maybe you can introduce yourself and your role with Grace Market. Over to you.
Okay, hi. Thanks, Nick, for this introduction. I'm Clara. I'm the founder of Graze Market, which I started in 2019. So at Graze Market, we are a social enterprise that aims to bridge the gap between food waste and hunger. In this company, I look at the strategy, look at giving the directions and partnerships, as well as looking at the operations.
Yeah, you mentioned food hunger. Was it food hunger, right? Yeah.
Food waste and hunger.
Food waste and hunger, correct. Yeah, that's what you said. What was it that you saw that between food waste and hunger that kind of made you decide that Grace Market had to come into existence?
Yeah, so it was about 3.5 years ago, which I actually encountered this issue about food waste. My husband, who is in food distribution company, he brought back a lot of vegetables every day, and I was like very happy for a moment, like, oh, free vegetables, yay! But then I came to realize that they're all rejected. And rejected for reasons that sometimes it just blows your mind lah. The cucumber is curvy, the tomatoes is probably too red or too green, and even like say your red chili, right, the stem becomes brown. So all this gets rejected. Then I realized that wow, there's a lot of stringent process that goes through before a vegetable is put on the shelves in the retail space. Yeah, and then on the other hand, there are also a lot of people hungry, right? So I said there must be something that we can do about this in a sustainable manner. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, so those rejected ones, do you know actually what happens to them when you say rejected? Is it like
yeah? So the retail, they usually reject them upfront back to the suppliers, and then the suppliers have to figure out what to do with them. So they can either donate them or they can try to resell them. Otherwise, it gets thrown into the landfill. So it doesn't just happen at the supplier level. It goes back all the way to the farm as well. So at the farm, they already start grading the vegetables. There's grade A, grade B, grade C, or first and seconds. So it's something that the whole system is already accustomed to coming up with the best looking vegetables that goes to the premium supermarkets, and then the rest could be just thrown away if there were no takers. Yeah, so when actually I went to the farm before I started this, just to understand the whole situation. The farmer was telling me, there are like few bags with hundreds of corn that it's still good. It's just that the outer layer starting to turn brown. So they asked me, do you want to take it back? If not, I'm just going to throw it into the river and it's going to be food for the fishes. Yeah, so we actually brought it back and then we gave it out. Yeah.
Wow. So I mean, it sounds as though that I mean, it's quite wasteful from
it is.
Yeah, just looking at it, right? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and also because a lot of resources go into producing this, right? It's you have your natural ones like your water, your sunlight, your labor resources, and then there's all the fertilizers that go in as well. So we are wasting all these when we waste food.
So you said 3.5 years kind of thing. So you saw that, you kind of think that, okay, this is something that you wanted to start. How has that been? What was the journey like for 3.5 years? And then there's a pandemic too in between.
Yes. So yeah, as you know, we started off in the social work sector, right? Working in the nonprofit space. So it's very different for me to come out as an entrepreneur and starting this as a business. But I decided to try this whole space of social enterprise because we could do it as a charity, but then it's hard for us to just continuously look for donations. We wanted to make it more sustainable and try and create opportunities for everyone as well. So we started this enterprise and we bootstrapped from the beginning. So it was all just coming out with our own money. And so because of that, we had to be very lean with our resources and making sure that we are also being able to cover our monthly expenses. So in the first 2 years, I think it was a lot of that and trying to understand the whole space of food waste, and especially in Malaysia, because we are considered quite new as well. About 3.5 years ago, there were only probably 1 or 2 other companies which were doing the same thing. So yeah, so it's a lot of learnings, and then pandemic came. When pandemic came, we also kind of like pivot a little bit to look into food aid, food packs, because there was so much need out there, and there were trouble getting food from the farm, right? There was a lot of logistics issues. So we were able to support that and work with corporates and foundations to give out food aid. So that is the journey, and we are always just continuously trying to improve what we are doing as long as we are reducing food waste. So yeah, we're testing a lot of things right now. We're even coming up with products, our own products like sauces and jams using surplus produce.
Right. Well, so that's been that's also, so it's kind of making sure that you you make good use of, I think, your source material, which is all these vegetables and other food that is not fit for retail, so to speak. You know, were there any particular stories in the last 3.5 years that really maybe were highlights for your team, for you, kept you all going?
So one would be probably one of the farmers that we worked with during the pandemic. So he is a guava farmer, and he's quite elderly already, about 70 plus. He usually sells his guavas in the Pasar Malam, which is the night market. So because of the pandemic, you know, there were no more night markets, and he couldn't sell his guavas. So one of my farmer, who's his nephew, approached us and said, you know, can you help this uncle to sell his guavas? If not, they'll just be wasted, right? And he doesn't have any income. So we just did a call on our social media page. We actually promoted it. And of course, the guava tastes really good, and we were offering it at a discount. So in the space of about 2 or 3 weeks, we managed to sell off all his guavas, I think amounting close to about 1 ton of guavas in total. And that has really helped him to, you know, to journey in during the pandemic lah. So we wanted more, but then, you know, he totally ran out. So that's a good problem, I believe. So it's this, stories like this where we try and help farmers to not to recover some of the potential losses.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, then the beneficiary side, we also work with people who have been receiving our food packs. So during pandemic, there were a lot of refugees which we work with, and getting the aid to them was really a need. I would say it's a need because they didn't have any access to food. So we work with different corporate partners who are willing to support and sponsor, and we deliver them the surplus. So they were really grateful, and I think over the period of time we managed to deliver out close to 6,000 individuals.
Wow, 6,000. That's nice. Especially, I'm sure it was helpful trying to, you know, navigate through the pandemic for all.
Yes.
So you mentioned corporate partners, you mentioned a little bit of support, you mentioned helping the farmers, you mentioned kind of new ideas and going to sources and stuff like that. I guess what's next, or what's on the horizon for you guys, and what kind of support you think you might need to as you continue and as we're coming out of the pandemic now? What's next?
So we're trying to, you know, ensure that we continue to rescue surplus, right? And this surplus can either be fresh products. We are also entering a lot more into the frozen space, and we have a lot of frozen berries, frozen ice creams that is hitting a bit more of the premium market. So those are products which we are now retailing at our own stores. So one of the ways that we could potentially expand is by creating more stores throughout the, would say, the state, or even going to other states as well, so that, you know, it's not just the lower income that who might want access to these discounted items. We could be hitting the M40 group who have also been struggling throughout the pandemic. So we want to make sure that everyone still gets the opportunity to have nutritious food, good quality food at a very good price. So those are the things that we're continuing to focus on, as well as making our own products, because these products will help to extend the shelf life of this fresh produce, right? So let's say our coriander, which can't last more than a few days, we process them into pesto and then we freeze them. and that goes out as something that you could eat in the next few months, right? So
Mm.
those are the avenue that we're trying to expand. And yeah, just so it can go into all types of products that we can think of. So we are doing a lot more R&D, and then hopefully this could be pushed out as gift boxes as well that corporates can buy to give out to their clients.
Right. Cool. That's interesting. Just now you mentioned stores. Oh, is that your own stores, or it's more like, you know, distributing into stores that already exist?
Yes, good question. So right now we have our own stores because that's where we can control it better, because we are dealing with surplus. So it's all very seasonal. If we go into a retail space who just wants consistency, then it might be hard for us to go directly to those. So we will work with other smaller stores, I would say, you know, like zero waste stores, box stores, and more curated supermarkets who don't mind to look at you know, seasonal items. So we will look into that probably in the next year. Yeah. So right now we're just producing them as items that we can sell on our physical retail and online.
Online. Very good.
Yeah.
Perfect segue, as you mentioned, online, I guess. You know, to end off, you know, where can people follow what's going on and keep track of what's going on with Graze Market, online or wherever?
Yeah, so we have a website, www.grazemarket.com.my, and we also have our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram, alias Graze Market with a Z, and also you can find us on LinkedIn. So all these pages will link you to our online order form. Then you can see all our produce there. Yes.
Cool.
We're also starting something new, very exciting in the next 1 month, where you can actually order a box of vegetables. And then you get like a random mystery box for like maybe 50 ringgit that we could feed you up to a week. So if you like to rescue surplus food and want some kind of challenge in cooking, you could try and opt for that new product that's coming up this month. Yeah.
Cool. And just to make sure, I think the viewers understand, all these, the deliveries, I think it's for Malaysia only.
Oh yes, currently still in Malaysia, because they're all perishables. But as we grow into the product space and later on making it shelf stable, that's when we can also export out. So if there are partners who want to work with us, we are more than willing to collaborate overseas.
Cool. Okay. I mean, that's wonderful. I think we got a nice little snippet into what's going on with Graze Market. Really, thank you, Clara, for making time this morning just for us to have a chat. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.